All right, let's get started and let's talk about the other surprising things that are affecting your productivity. If you haven't watched the previous episodes on the topic of productivity, I suggest that you go back and watch those. I want to welcome you to the Stressed Accountant YouTube channel. If we haven't met, I am Dawn Goldberg. I am a CPA. I've been a CPA in public accounting now for over 30 years. And I am the author of The Smarter Accountant. So this is the last episode in the 4-part series that I've done on productivity. If you haven't watched episodes 13, 14, and 15, I would suggest you go back and check those out. I discussed things about productivity that every accountant needs to know, but no one is teaching you. So as my coaching clients learn how to become smarter accountants, they also learn to approach their brain as a scientist would, just trying to understand the inner workings of the subject of their experiment, which of course is them. And it helps them to detach themselves from being the person experiencing their brain to instead being the observer of their brain. So at first, it can be a little jarring, to say the least. And sometimes it can be even embarrassing to have the awareness of how childlike our brains can be. But with knowledge comes power. A smarter accountant understands their brains better. They understand their brain's patterns, their limiting beliefs, and the effects of their thoughts and feelings and actions. So let me quickly review what I shared in episode number 15. For the typical accountant that I shared, they had this circumstance where a tax project was due by June 1st. They had the thought, I'm getting nowhere with this project. The feeling they had when they had that thought was frustrated. The actions that they took from the feeling of frustration was they told themselves they have no idea where to start. They tell themselves they're not being productive. They tell themselves they're getting burned out easily because they think too much about the project. They don't break down the project into smaller results. They procrastinate, they compare themselves to others in the office, and they question whether they should even be doing this. And the result when they take all these actions is they are more likely to not get anywhere with that project. So the key here is that it wasn't the tax project that was due by June 1st that was the problem. It was the thought, I'm getting nowhere with this project. That is what created the feeling of frustration. So the truth is that once you understand what I'm going to explain, you're not going to be able to help but notice a negative emotion and then realize that it's not coming from a circumstance. It can only ever come from a thought about a circumstance. That is when things can change dramatically. So another tool that I teach my smarter accountant coaching clients is understanding the difference between emotional childhood and emotional adulthood. So emotional childhood is when you blame people, places, and things for how you feel. You blame circumstances for how you feel, and then you give away your power in the process. So emotional adulthood is when you take 100% responsibility for how you feel. You acknowledge that it's only your thoughts that can create your feelings, not circumstances. And when you're in emotional adulthood, you take your power back to create whatever you want for your career and for your life. You see, being a smarter accountant means spending more time in emotional adulthood than in emotional childhood. And because of this, you become much more productive. That's the key, because you understand why you feel the way you do, and you also know how to deliberately feel any constructive emotion. That's super important to understand. You want to feel constructive emotions. So what you do or don't do is only ever fueled by how you feel. And until you truly understand that, your productivity will never improve. You will continue blaming other things or people or other people, but they are never the problem. The problem is your brain. You see, emotional adulthood is one of the most powerful things you can do to be more productive as an accountant. If you want to get more done in less time, you need to understand how to manage your brain better. Okay, so this is the last video in the series on productivity. Again, if you haven't watched the previous 3 episodes, I would suggest you go back and watch those. The next series will be a 4-part series will be on an issue that plagues a lot of accountants. That's comparing and then despairing. So make sure you check back next week for the first video in that series where I answer the question, if I'm so smart, why do I get stuck comparing myself to others? Now, if you're interested in figuring out how to be more productive, you will definitely want to schedule a 30-minute call with me to discuss exactly what you're struggling with. Now, I can help you see what's getting in the way and, more importantly, what you can do about it. The solution to being more productive without burning out in the process is simpler than you think, and I can show you how. So just go below the description of this video to find the link to book a 30-minute call with me. And don't forget to check out the other free resources that I have in the link below. All right, until next time, have a great week. Bye-bye.